didn't exactly want to move back to rural Indiana.
Yep.
I didn't think that. But as I got there and I surrounded myself for the first time with like people that would hold me accountable and people that would, were fun to do the same things I did, I started noticing, wow, like my discipline's becoming a whole nother leveling up. So the things that I do on a daily...
Be careful who you surround yourself
Exactly.
It all speak for itself. Grinding in silence, ain't nothing to tell. When we step on the court, we gon' bring it to light. And we stop and pop like we caught of the light. Stop asking what's wrong with me. You already know there's a dog in me. And there's no stopping my focus, man. Make sure all my people gon' ball with me. Yeah, I came to compete, I'm a dog with it. Yeah, I came to compete with my paws in it.
What's up, CTA family? Welcome back to the Compete Mentality Podcast. Compete Mentality Podcast exists to motivate, educate, and inspire you guys to compete. Our definition of competing is doing what God calls you to do even when it's hard. Super excited to continue our series, Tell Me Your Story today. But before we dive in and I reveal who our guest is, if you're watching on YouTube and listening, I got a couple announcements here. Two things. First one, Transform You. High school hoopers, I want you. If you are looking to level up your mindset and your skill set, 8-week program led by yours truly. Check it out online, competetrainingacademy.org. Secondly, Dream Season X. This is for the entrepreneur, CEO, CFO, athlete, coach, mom, fireman, whoever that is looking to max out their life. I'm accepting 10 to 12 individuals, fire-breathing dragons who are trying to grow in their mind, body, spirit. This is going to be a 12-month program, 4 retreats. Absolutely can't wait. So, apply online, competetrainingacademy.org. Without further ado, I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Ty Renbarger. Ty, thanks for joining us, my brother.
Thanks. Good to be your fire-breathing dragon for the day.
That's right. That's
I think you described me in some of those, but
no doubt.
But definitely fire-breathing dragon.
Ty, man, we've known each other about 2 years, and he's a Dream Season mindset training client, but has grown into a brotherhood and a friendship that I'm extremely thankful for.
Likewise.
And this is very special as we continue our series, Tell Me Your Story. Ty has an unbelievable, inspiring story that we're going to pull out of him today, and I can't wait to do that. But to kind of kick us off, Ty, curious, you and I both, we love working out, mind, body, spirit. We talk about it every day, Dream Season. But we're foodies too. We're foodies. We love to treat ourselves every once in a while. So, you and Haley going out on a date night. Where are you going and why?
Well, first off, I would say that any good date night is usually paired with or followed by some good live music.
Ooh.
So we definitely get a lot of good shows in Wabash, Indiana.
Absolutely.
But we also make our way to Fort Wayne and indie venues. We love that stuff. Managed to make it out to a show on Tuesday, so that was great. But right now, currently in Wabash, we probably venture over to Four Partners in Crime.
Okay.
It's a tapas dining establishment.
Yep.
It started. It's really great.
Need to check that out. I've never been there.
Just check it out. Just there's a few drinks on the menu I would recommend.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Double date.
Yeah, for sure.
Haley,
let's plan it.
Listening? I think that's a double date. So, Ty, want to dive into your story. Like, to describe Ty to you guys, like, this dude loves pain. Like, loves to endure pain. This dude is a freak athlete. That we're gonna dive into that. Ironman, extraordinaire. How many Ironman races have you done now?
I've done 4 labeled Ironmans.
Yep.
And an ultra triathlon.
Yep.
Failed at a couple ultra triathlons and several halves. So I love the love the athletic attributes, but I'm just a normal guy. I don't know about loving the pain part though.
Like before our last meeting, or our call this week, we hopped on our mindset call. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And you're like, good. I just hammered out like 42 minutes straight swimming on my lunch break. I'm like, dude, like 42 minutes straight. Like the pool had to close in an hour, and you just realized, and you went down there and like swam as hard as you could for 42 minutes straight. Like that's not for the weak. Like if I swim as hard as I can for 42 seconds, like that's legit for me. So this guy loves pain. James, the book of James, talks about pain and trials and that we should actually find joy in it. For from it produces perseverance. Perseverance, faith. Faith, hope. Hope, love. And this is just such a great quality that Ty has. And I want to pull out talking about this through your Ironmans. Tell us about like the preparation that you have to go through for an Ironman. What's it look like?
Well, I think a lot of the prep is where the process I fell in love with. The race itself is just kind of like secondary, but as you're leading up to it, there is several aspects that you have to become disciplined in. An Ironman, for those who don't know, is a 2.4 mile swim followed by 112 miles on your bike, and then you get to put on your running shoes and endure a marathon or 26.2 miles on the road. Miraculously, I've been able to finish most of them with a smile on my face and a big fist pound. But there has been a few days where I at least found myself just lying down on the pavement, ready to just take a nap.
And he's being modest. I'm curious. So, like your Ironmans, where did you participate for these events?
The first one I did was in Louisville. The second one was up in Mont Tremblant, Canada, which anything that starts with Mont means you're on a ski slope. Might not have been the best choice, but it was fun. The third one was in Cozumel. It was beautiful, beautiful swim. And the last one was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in a spot that was supposed to be 75 degrees, and it was 101 that day. So it was hot.
Yes,
hot.
Yes. So, what's the race you finished the highest as far as placing?
Placement was Mont Tremblant. And they call it the right day, right time. So
what place did you finish? Do you remember?
I don't know because
this guy's being extremely modest, so I'm trying to like let our audience know what kind of a dude you actually are.
Honestly, when it comes to placement, in my view, it's a race against myself. And that's honestly where I get the drive. I'm not worrying about racing the guy next to me or my friends, because this is really was brought out to me in a community where me and a few guys got together and really created a brotherhood, and that was fun. But I wasn't competing against them. I was competing with what was inside of me, trying to drive out the limitless potential. And last year, I qualified for the Half Ironman World Championships in Utah, in St. George, Utah, and that's honestly where like you start to feel like, wow, I'm achieving something. I'm around these guys that are extremely fit and great. And to be honest, just finishing in the top half of my age group makes me happy. But at the same point in time, you start to realize you're like, all right, this is a race against me. What can I bring out of myself?
You versus you.
And I think we talked about this at one point in time at that race. Hoka, which is a notorious running shoe, the original Cloud running shoes. They came out with this slogan that was "Fly Human Fly," and I changed it to start the race. It was going to be "Fly Spirit Fly," and so every time I saw that sign, reminded me of the limitless potential that's within me.
So good, so good. And there's so much value in pushing ourselves physically so we can reach our limitless potential in all areas of life. We talk all the time that there's 3 planes of existence. There's the mind, there's the body, there's the spirit. And when one is off, they're all off. And I think it's such a cool thing how really I truly believe the further you push yourself physically, it's almost easier to tap into that spiritual, limitless potential identification with your spirit.
Yeah. No, that's exactly the case. And I think maybe that's, I wouldn't say love pain, but I love getting into that spectrum where you have pushed yourself physically and you get to a spot in which your mental aspects kick in and they say, hey, I'm tired, I'm done, I want to stop here. And if you push on past that, then all of a sudden you link them all together and you get into that spiritual realm. And that's truly where you start to learn something about yourself.
Yep.
That's where you learn, hey, this isn't as hard as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or, wow, I'm uncovering or unpacking something that happened 10 years ago. So
definitely a spiritual component to these Ironmans.
Very much so. Very much so.
I'm curious, can you remember like a certain lesson specifically that was like a huge spiritual download from a certain race? Can you pinpoint one?
There are a few. I would say it kind of gravitates though back. Like my first one in Louisville, first off, like I wasn't in like this huge training, disciplined structure at that point in time. I literally kind of signed up because my buddies were signing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm doing triathlons. Let's take this to the next level. So I jump into something I've never done before. And I just remember getting past the swim, getting past the bike, getting on this run. And, the running shoes brought a smile to my face already, even though I was completely dehydrated.
Yeah.
And I just remember at that point in time channeling a couple things. One, I had a high school cross country coach that used to, in cross country, it's only a 5K, but 3.1 miles, and halfway into it, your heart rate's high, you want to puke, you're 17, 18, and my cross country coach used to yell at us, isn't it great to be alive? And I used to be like, what are you talking about? This is terrible, like I'm in pain over here. And I just remember at that moment, someplace in that run, I started laughing. It's like, isn't it great to be alive? Because I went through all of these heartaches and these troubled decade of my life, and all of a sudden I was running again, and I was having fun, and it was just like, isn't this great to be alive? And when I got to a spot in which I finally hit the limit of like, I brought a physical, mental, I'm laughing, and I get to the spiritual side, I just remember channeling hey, you're good enough. And I remember actually I was out at Churchill Downs, and we had to run 10K home. I don't remember the 10K because I looked and said, hey man, you got to take me home.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of points in which, and I thought I was going to be one of these people, when you get to that first Ironman and you cross the finish line, a lot of people cry. It's a very emotional time. And I thought for sure I was going to cry my eyes out, and I was prepared. I was prepared to be that vulnerable. And I just remember getting to that point and like I couldn't stop smiling. I'm running down 4th Avenue. I am smiling from ear to ear. My wife, our son's there. My parents were there. And I just remember like chills, most elate, like just all the joy coming out. So I think someplace in there I fell in love with that emotion. And each one of them, Cozumel. It was like 3 trips around the island on a bike, and we literally, I don't know why we did this. We rented a house right off the bike course, and I had a pool, and my foot hurt so bad. We're like 80 miles into this bike, and I'm like, all I want to do is go jump in this pool and call it a day. And my son looks at me, and I'm like, I can't let him down.
No.
Like, we talk about this, like with kids and growing up, and how to ultimately get what's best out of them, and showing your dad's a failure is not exactly going to drive that. So there's a part in each one of those that definitely brought out a new side or a new spiritual enlightenment.
I love that. That's so good. The Bible is full of verses and analogies of races. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2 is one of my favorite, which says, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us. looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. Guys, if you're listening to this, life is a marathon. It's like an Ironman. There's times where you're hitting your stride and you're feeling that runner's high. There's times where you want to quit. The ups and downs, the beauty of the journey. And I want to hear now, Ty, maybe there's a moment in life that was hard. There was some adversity that you went through in life. This podcast is all about inspiring others to do what God calls them to do even when it's hard. Do you have a time in your life that you'd like to share with our audience about the time you went through adversity, but looking back now, you're thankful for it?
Yeah. No, and everybody has their hardships. I don't think anybody should. It's like a lot of like your ability to run distances, right? Like everybody has their own challenge. Some people's is do an Ironman every day for 3 months. Others is like, I just got to get this 100 meters of walking in today. Everybody has their own challenges, and I look at it the same way with hardships. Everybody has their limit of what they need to push through. Mine happened in my 20s. I was thankful enough to get through school and land a job that allowed me to see the world, right? And in the midst of this, I go from being a very, very active, 20-something to coming down with a pretty significant hip injury. It was partly genetic, partly how I treated my body. I was rough on my body, ran hard,
right?
I played hard, and I worked hard. And recovery probably wasn't first and foremost to any of our minds in our 20s, right?
Right.
And so
right.
I had a hip impingement, and this hip impingement took really the ability to run and almost walk away from me. A lot of the times, like just getting to and from work was a challenge in and of itself. A lot of weekends, not like, hey, like let's just sit on the couch this weekend.
And how old exactly were you then?
I was 26.
26, okay.
So I'd go from running, like that was my release to life. Running was my release. Anything and everything that, I needed to get off my chest, whether it was a bad relationship, whether it was a boss at work, whether it was, friends or whatever it might be, not achieving what I wanted to achieve, that always got taken out on my running shoes. That got taken away.
Yeah.
So when it takes it away, it starts to bottle up, and that pain just grew. And it really drove to sciatica pain and like just pins and needles down my legs. And so at some point in time, I go to one orthopedic because he's like, all right, this is fixable. And that orthopedic had no idea what was wrong with me. I think the original ones, they told me I had a fractured tailbone. Just wait. Just give it 4 months.
Right.
I gave it 4 months.
Still hurt.
Still hurt. Went to the next one. I finally found the right doctor who was like, oh no, I know how to fix this and I know who can fix it. And that just so luckily, that doctor happened to be 5 minutes from where I was living in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
Like, there was only like 10 doctors in the country that did this surgery that knew what it was. And this guy was like 5 minutes away.
What?
So
I like to say those are God incidences, not coincidences. That you were placed there in that moment of time in Him too. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
So it was one of those things. And then, of course, once you diagnose the problem, it just doesn't go away with those things. Your body has changed itself to adhere to your injury. And so and both of my hips were messed up, so they had to do one, I had to recover, and then I had to do the next. So that was 4 years in of itself right there. And now your body has adjusted itself. We talked about scar tissue. We talk about like your muscles readapting. All that stuff had to get put back into place and reshaped to ultimately get back to running. And, when I started back running, I moved back home from Detroit. I was living in Cicero, Indiana, and like a 2-mile run hurt. Like I was like, oh, this is painful. And even, when we talk about Louisville and then Ironman, I didn't know if my hip could go 26.2. And it was proven. My guys that I did that on the starting line was like, when was the last time you ran a marathon? And I was like, can't tell you. And so it took, from 26, it took till 36 to get back. Now I feel like I'm a decade younger now. But it definitely took, it took a lot out of me in those years.
Absolutely. Man, we say all the time that, if you have your health, you have 1,000 dreams, but if you don't have your health, you have one dream. That's to be healthy. So true. And if you're listening, just thank, and goodness gracious, each and every day is a gift. Each breath is a gift. We talk all the time about gratitude and journaling, being grateful every single day, which is where I want to go next, is really the daily habits. So Ty is truly he's such a fun dream season client for me to work with because he's so disciplined, as you can hear, in his mind, body, and spirit. And so he gets results. Guys, discipline is the catalyst to getting to your dreams. Can you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, even without seeing the result? You will. Have faith, you will. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. You're so close. For those of you right now with big dreams and big visions, don't quit. Do not quit. Not now. You cannot quit now. You've worked too hard. You've worked too long. Now is not the time to quit. So, with that being said, I've seen Ty, and it's been awesome to journey with you, hearing some of your big goals, hearing some of your big dreams, hearing your journey. I want to hear some of your daily mind, body, spirit practices that you do on a daily basis to stay so dialed in as you are.
Yeah. I can say first and foremost, being where I'm at today is so much different than where I was at one point in time in my life. I was very undisciplined. I do think it also helps to have an accountability partner, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who's going to hold you accountable. Yep. I truly feel like when I moved to Wabash, by the way, that's where my wife was from. Didn't exactly want to move back to rural Indiana.
Yep.
I didn't think that. But as I got there and I surrounded myself for the first time with people that would hold me accountable and people that would, were fun to do the same things I did, I started noticing, wow, my discipline's becoming a whole nother leveling up. So the things that I do on a daily...
Be careful who you surround yourself
Exactly.
with.
It goes back to your parents when they're like, you are who your friends are, right? So number one thing I say to my son these days.
Rolled our eyes then.
Yeah.
So true.
And that's why iron sharpens iron. That's you and I hanging out. It's only taken me to the nth level, and I continue to look for that exponential growth on a daily basis. I mean, besides the physical aspect, right? We go through my training regimen. It might be more of a addiction or therapy at
which
this
you
point.
have a coach for, which I think is super cool. Ty has a coach for that area of his life. Always get a coach, get a coach, get a coach, get a coach.
Yes,
Sorry.
Very much. No, I mean, point being, there's a lot of times that I don't, you wake up and I don't know what I want to do today.
Yeah.
But if it's written down,
no choice.
You got to do this.
No choice.
You know what to do. So that's on one side of it. And my workouts are usually an hour to an hour and a half a day, and they fit in early in the morning or late at night or at lunch or someplace in between.
Yeah.
My daily life is very flexible and chaotic all at the same time. But it's really important to, and we talk about this all the time, of getting into habits of when things happen. On a mental and spiritual aspect, I journal every day. Mm-hmm. I spend at least 3 to 5 minutes in silence.
It's not real till you write it down, right?
Exactly. And I mean, by the way, when you write it down and you journal, there's a lot of times that you pick apart. It allows yourself to do some inward thinking that brings it out of you and oh, now I'm connecting dots. This is what I need to do. Or it sets the trajectory for the day. Wow, this, this problem with my son or this problem with my wife or work, this top of mind. Now I have it written down and now I have a plan to go and attack it today, which I think is really vital. Making sure I get some reading. And then, I think the one other discipline that you and I have talked about a lot is really setting aside the end of the day with my, the kids. I might go back for a workout at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
But getting them to bed and actually spending some intentional time with them is so vital because it's got that exponential ripple effect through their life. And I do feel like it brings it all full circle. So, and I might add, like, I got a very awesome and amazing wife that holds me very accountable to nutrition. If it was sometimes left to my own devices, I'd be probably drinking some sugary drinks and eating ice cream, which, by the way, I love. And you should eat more ice cream, swim more rivers, climb more mountains, eat more ice cream.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, she keeps me pretty disciplined. So
I love that. And speaking of daily habits, I want to shout out Milk and Honey Coffee Co. Here in Commerce, Indiana. For those of you that have been watching this, I'm drinking a maple latte. This is one of my daily disciplines and daily habits that I have every single day since it's opened. I've probably missed 2 days that I first thing in the morning, there's no more of a deadly combination than caffeine and the Holy Spirit. So like, it's just kind of my thing, like driving over here to Converse, Indiana, getting my maple latte, listen to a podcast, or bringing my Bible and journal and just starting my day that way. They open up at 6:30 a.m., so perfect. So I want to shout out Bridget Boswell, the owner here at Milk and Honey. She'll serve you great food here as well. And she's actually going to be on the podcast next week, so can't wait to have her on and dive in to her story as well. But Ty, really appreciate you giving us your time. So gracious of you, and so many things that we can pull out of this podcast and practically apply to our lives, from the daily disciplines that you do to the perseverance and the grit and the discipline that you have to complete Ironmans. And truly, man, just grateful that we could spend this time together, man.
Likewise. If there's one thing I would say too, we talk about, spending time with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I truly feel like one of the other aspects, and you do this through meditation, but man, anytime you catch a run with no headphones, a swim with, you're in the water, you're just with yourself. It is your time with yourself as well as God, and I truly feel like at that point in time is when you start to unpack, your daily life and how you can ultimately, meet and exceed your own expectations.
Such great encouragement. Listeners, take that to heart. Every quote-unquote successful person, and what I mean by successful is like those who have lots of peace, joy, happiness, they are spending a large part of their day alone before starting their day and ending their day. Bookending their day alone, stillness. So great advice there. Listener, thank you for joining us. It's an honor every single week to be here with you. I thank you for listening. All the love your way. Always remember that competing is doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard.